Hello, I'm Clinton Turner Davis. I'm a director, educator, arts consultant and fundraiser, dramaturg, production stage manager, and production supervisor. I am happy to be a part of this tribute to Douglas Turner Ward. He was one of my mentors, a mentor for more than 50 years, and really is one of the foundations and definitely the cornerstone of my career in the American theater.
How did you meet Douglas?
I met Douglas Turner Ward on the evening of my first day as a production supervisor at the Negro Ensemble Company when it was down at the St. Mark's Theater on Second Avenue and St. Mark's Place. I had climbed the stairs to the lobby, and there I was met by Steve Carter, who was one of the playwrights there and resident all around everything there. And I went into the theater where I met my cousin who had asked me and actually invited me to become a part of the organization. And in that first 15 minutes, I met Shawneel Perry, who was the director, Moses Gunn, Clarice Taylor, Francis Foster, Adolph Caesar, Shirley Prendergast, the lighting designer, and Edward Burbridge, the set designer. They were all working on The Sty of the Blind Pig by Philip Hayes Dean, and I was to be the production assistant. We worked that entire day, and then about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, Harsina and I were leaving after having prepared and set up for the next day's rehearsal. And out of the office walked this tall, distinguished looking man. And Harsina stopped him, and they chatted for a minute, and then Harsina introduced me and said, Clinton, this is Douglas Turner Ward, the artistic director. Doug, this is Clinton. He's going to be the production stage manager. Excuse me, the production assistant of Sty of the Blind Pig. Doug looked at me, shook my hand. He said, welcome to the NEC. Tipped his hat and then walked down the steps and out of the door. And that was my first encounter with Doug. I had had no idea it would last. That friendship and mentorship that began that day would last for so long.
That was your first kind of conversation. What
Yes.
was, or if you had a more in depth, what was that first real conversation that you could recall that you had with him? That was more than just hi.
Mm, I didn't have really many in-depth, long conversations with him. They were always short, brief, usually around work. Um, for me, Doug was a man of few words, but the words that he did say were very poignant and to the point. And in my capacity working at the theater, I felt part of my job was to facilitate all that was coming out of his mind. And so I would do that as quickly and as efficiently as I could. In fact, it was so funny. That was when I got the first nickname that I had at the Negro Ensemble Company. It was given to me by Adolph Caesar. He called me Fast Foot Freddy because I was always moving around in various places to keep everything together. There were times though when all of the company who were working late would meet at the Orchidia, a restaurant, which was at right up the street. And we would sit and talk as a large group. And we talked about any and everything that was going on that during that period, from the day things in the daily news. And ultimately, it always centered around theater or some aspect of the arts. And it was a wonderful and lively give and take as we had our meal.
You touched a little bit about what it was like to see him, but what was your impression, like a little more in depthly, your impression of him when you first met him?
I, honestly, then, other than him being the artistic director of the theater and quote unquote the boss, I wasn't in awe. I took him and perceived him to be who he was, an amazing artist. Um, I had not seen any of his work at that point. I had was aware of Day of Absence and Happy Ending, though I had not seen a production of it. But there was something that was quite special being in and a part of an organization that he was the founder of, and that made me feel a little special. And as I think back on it, I don't know, I can't really express why, other than I had a place to work and I had what felt to be an artistic home.
At what moment did you realize NEC really was that special gem?
Whoa, that's a loaded question. There were so many, many moments. The very first one, I guess, would be when I was hired. I mean, tell the truth, because if I didn't receive that job as a production assistant, I would have moved back to Washington D.C. In fact, I had been on my way to go to the bus station to take the train take the Trailways bus back to D.C. and start with a job in the government. So that was one of those truly special moments when I said, "Ah, I'm in the right place." Um, Another one was that it was a constant feeling of family, artistic family, that was throughout the organization, the ensemble, that always made me feel special. Um, and to be more specific, and times that when we went to Munich as part of the Cultural Olympiad and said, what was that, 72? Uh, and how we were treated at the Olympics, which was amazingly wonderful. In fact, all of the touring that the company did, I always felt that we were doing something very special, bringing something special to the larger world, and were greeted in return.
What's one of the most important lessons, if any, that you learned from Doug?
Still waters run deep. He was for me, Doug was really very quiet. He wasn't introverted, but very quiet, but keenly observant. So that when he did speak, you received the benefit of knowledge, patience, understanding, and clarity. And it didn't take too many words to get you there. That was Doug for me.
What advice do you have for the next generation in the same spirit of how you were passed down advice from Doug? What's something you would give to them?
I would say listen and learn, read, 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 and learn. Put yourself in situations where every aspect of your artistic self, as well as your personal self, will be challenged for growth. Uh, Seek out the people that you want to work with, and read, so you will have a larger platform of understanding that goes beyond your immediate moments. And that is the history upon which you stand and upon which you strive to build. And if you do not have that understanding, the foundation of your art is going to be terribly shaky and will not last.
If Douglas was sitting here listening to us, or you could say something to him now, what would it be?
It would be quite simple. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for providing a space and a way to help us all make it plain. Thank you.